Hello everybody and welcome to this Train Sim World 4 discussion on what I think will happen in the future of the game. First things first, let's set up this train that we have in front of us. Master key on that to forwards, pop the HUD up, get the doors open, headlights on, and where's the oh, it doesn't matter, probably doesn't exist. Oh yeah, because it's a screen, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, future analysis. This is going to be basically I have a few points, right? One is about what content I think will release going forwards. And then sort of tied into that is how I think new games, so like Train Sim 5, Train Sim 6, etc., will be released. I also have some opinions on the way the target audience is shifting. And finally, it's just escaped my mind. I've lost my train of thought. Pun intended. What was I going to talk about? I get moving, and I'll see if it comes back to me. Let's get started on the future content. Oh, that's the wrong one. In essence, I suspect the future content will be quite good, at least for a while, because it would make sense, and I've discussed this before, but it would make sense for Dovetail to package all of the garbage stuff that people wouldn't necessarily buy en masse. I'm using garbage as an exaggerator in this, so don't get too offended. But basically, they might be throwing out the stuff that wouldn't sell super well on its own, and they're bundling in the new game, and then selling the other stuff that is going to sell very well on its own in a standalone DLC. Not a standalone, just a DLC, right? Because that way they get double the money. Because if they put the good stuff in the core game and the less good stuff is DLC, less people would buy it, right? So they have to force people to buy the original game for the good stuff that follows. And I sort of suspect that Blackpool to Ormskirk validates my theory on this. Of course, we have to wait and see. I really do hope to be wrong. That's one thing that a lot of people don't quite understand. I want to be wrong. In all of my negative speculation, I want to be wrong. The problem is, I just don't think I am. And all of my suspicions for Train Sim World 4 were more or less true. Speculating on Dovetail, I've got quite good at it, unfortunately. But certainly, I think that's the way it will go, unfortunately. Next is the yearly release of the game. I think there will be more yearly releases. Dovetail is owned by Focus. Focus are not doing very well financially at the moment, or not necessarily financially. Their business valuation isn't doing so well. They're a public company. They are traded on the stock market, and the value of all of their stock has been dropping more or less all year. Now, I know some people will be very quick to jump to the, oh, well, Dovetail are completely independent of Focus Games. That's not true. Come on, grow up. Of course they're dependent on Focus. Focus own them, right? If Focus need more money, they'll go to the subsidiaries like Dovetail and they'll say, oi, we want more money. And Dovetail will have to do it, because it's like as a child. Yeah, this is sort of a really shit analogy, but it's the best I can think of. If you're an adopted child, right, and your new parents say, oh, we're going to give you all the freedom you want. But that's not true, because if they say, oi, do your homework, what else are you going to do? Right? You can't argue with them because they're your parents, right? So it's this sort of similar. It's the best analogy I can think. It's an awful one, but it's the best one I can think of. Um, of course, Dovetail are going to do what Focus asked them to, and I believe Focus will have probably asked them to make more money. It is quite simple, and that's why I believe Train Sim World will have yearly releases going forwards. I really hope to be wrong. Again, I want to be wrong, but I just don't think I am. In an ideal world, we would get free updates to the new version, and then we'd pay for the content. Now, Dovetail aren't going to do that because it's essentially the same game that's just getting renamed with patch fixes, which means they get less money. And they want money, clearly, otherwise they wouldn't be rushing out this game after a single year. So they're not going to do that. And as much as it would be great for their reputation, great for their customers' trust in their product, they're not going to do it because they don't care about that. They care about money. That's sort of the thing that annoys me. And this is going to be a bit of a rant, just a fair warning. Dovetail just don't care about the consumer anymore. That is very clear. They just don't care. They only care about making money. They're rolling out rubbish quality stuff faster than ever before. It's honestly of a pretty poor quality. Their marketing has gone berserk. So they're clearly trying to flog their products. And they're just trying to scrape wherever they can for sales, even if it means they lose some of their more passionate railfan audience. Now they're always going to deny this, but I think it's true. I genuinely believe that. And again, I would love to be wrong, and I will be very happy if evidence comes up to the contrary of my opinion. But I can't take Dovetail's defenders seriously when they say, "Oh, Dovetail are doing the best. They're doing fantastic for the product," because they're not. That's not true. And you know that they ignore bugs, as you just saw if you're paying attention. I just got tripped out by a DSD bug, right? A DSD, absolutely no warning at all, and it tripped, and I got an e-brake. That has been a bug for about a year. It's been a bug for as long as this loco has existed, and Dovetail have done absolutely nothing about it. Nothing at all. They don't care about bug fixes. This is my next topic, right? My next thing that I think will happen. They don't care about previous content, right? They just dump it, right? We've already seen it with GWE very clearly, and they've acknowledged what they've done with GWE because it's too hard, right? And we see that with other stuff like London, even London Commuter, which 2 years ago was like the cream of the cream. That's only 2 years. That's not that long ago, right? That was the cream of the cream, the absolute best Dovetail could do, but it was still quite buggy, right? But they promised quick bug fixes, which never came at all, and we're still waiting on them. But I don't think they're ever going to happen. Like the preservation crew, whose job was to basically do bug fixes and make sure things were up to scratch for updates to the next title, they don't exist anymore. They've been absorbed into other things. And it would suggest to me that Dovetail are just trying everything they can to concentrate as much human resources as they possibly can into developing content, because that's what earns money. That's what makes Focus happy. That's what makes Matt happy. That's what makes all the higher ups happy. Money. They don't care about us, the customer. They don't give a fuck. They only care about cash flow. And if something is bad for cash flow but good for the customer, they won't support it. It's as simple as that. And that really annoys me, the dumping content stuff. Because you cannot release content, know that it is broken, promise a fix, and then never do it. And that's what's killed Dovetail's reputation. If you talk to anyone who actually knows a thing about Dovetail's history, they overpromise and underdeliver every time and time again, to the point where you can't trust them. You just cannot trust them. And it's the overpromising and then underdelivering, and then overpromising to fix the underdelivery that is almost comical in its stupidity. And then they will come out with a very stupid and minor bug fix, and they'll say, oh, well, we're rolling out these patches with Train Sim World 4, and it's great, it's going to be fantastic. And it's like, why don't you just shove Train Sim World 4 up your ass and roll out the patches to the existing game that needs them more? But why would you do that when you can make more money, right? Why would you do that? And finally, I guess, the target market. This is something that I've talked about before at length. I talked about it for Train Sim World 3 even. That was long ago, wasn't it? Well, not really, only a year. But it's this target market is clearly not the dedicated rail fan anymore. It is very clearly console kids who'll play something for an hour, get bored, move on to the next thing, and just keep spending money. Right? Because us, the dedicated rail fan, we will play something for hours and hours and hours, and then we'll move on only when we see something that interests us, not when we get bored. Right? Because there are ways that you can not be bored playing content that you already own. And because of that habit, we don't spend as much money. So Dovetail don't like to cater to us. And it's a win-win for Dovetail, because if they cater to the people who will keep buying shit, they are also catering to the people who don't complain as much, or actively shut down the complaints when they arise. And it's sad to see that happen. You know, again, I would not like this to be true, but I just can't see a world in which it isn't. It's such a shame that Dovetail are just so awful at talking to people and talking to the community. Like, the developer diaries, and in all marketing for Train Sim World 4 generally, is so clearly marketed towards console kids, right? All this graffiti shit that has nothing to do with the game, and all this reference to, you know, our own soundtrack that then they don't really use, they just stick some heavy metal stupid band that, again, has nothing to do with the game underneath it. It's like, wow, look at this, it's big, it's fast, it's long. That's what she said. It's just stupid. I don't care how long the route is. I just care if it's good, right? I don't care how fast the train goes, as long as it's good, right? I'd rather a slow train, actually. But, you know, why would you bother with that when you could just sell to console kids who'll buy anything and play it for 2 hours and then move on to the next thing, and then the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and just empty their bank account into Dovetails and then into Focuses. Yeah, it's just I my gut feeling is bad for the future. In summary, if you couldn't tell, my gut feeling is very bad. My gut feeling for Traitor World 3 when that released was bad, and on the whole, I was mostly right about that. And I unfortunately suspect that I will be right about this as well. As I've made clear, I don't want to be right on this topic. This is one of the things I really especially do not want to be right. I enjoy playing this game, and it genuinely pains me to see the quality of all of the releases continue to go further into the toilet. I want to enjoy this game even more than I currently do, but I cannot with its huge number of problems that go unacknowledged and unresolved from Dovetail. And thus, the continued ignorance of the biggest problems, like optimization and constant bugs from Dovetail, show me that they don't plan on changing in the future. And that's I guess the moral of this. I don't think Dovetail will change. I think they will remain almost the same. And the same is not good. The status quo is bad. And with that, I think I've had enough of a rant. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.